In the cold silence of space, far beyond the blue skies of Earth, a message echoed through the stars. The Intergalactic Council, an alliance of advanced civilizations from across the galaxy, had just made an announcement that sent shockwaves through countless worlds. Earth, the small planet teeming with humans, was officially declared the galaxy's most terrifying planet. It wasn't a title given out of respect or admiration. No, it was a warning, a label meant to keep other species away. On board the orbital space station Solace Jack Harper sat in front of a glowing screen, his brow furrowed as he replayed the Council's broadcast. He was a human diplomat, one of the few trusted to represent Earth among the stars. Beside him stood Maria Lopez, her dark eyes wide with disbelief, as she listened to the words being repeated over and over again. Earth is unpredictable, the Council's spokesperson said in a calm but firm voice. Its inhabitants show no regard for galactic norms. They adapt too quickly, fight without reason, and rebuild faster than any other species we have encountered. Attempting to invade or interfere with this planet is considered suicide. Maria leaned closer to Jack, her voice low but tense. What are they talking about? We're not monsters. Sure, humanity has its problems, but terrifying. That's ridiculous. Jack didn't reply immediately. He stared at the screen, his mind racing. Deep down, he knew there was some truth to what the Council said. Humans were different, strange even, compared to most alien races. While other species followed strict rules and careful planning, humans thrived on chaos and creativity. They were survivors, always finding ways to overcome impossible odds. To outsiders, that unpredictability could easily look like a threat. But why now? Why had the Council decided to make such a bold statement? Jack glanced at Maria. This isn't just about us. There's something bigger going on here. Someone must have pushed them to say this. Before Maria could respond, the door to the communications room slid open. A young technician named Alex rushed in, holding a tablet. His face was pale, and his hands trembled slightly. "Sir, you need to see this," he stammered, handing the device to Jack. On the screen was a map of nearby star systems, dotted with red markers. Each marker represented a fleet, alien ships gathering near Earth's borders. Some were labeled with names Jack recognized: the Krell Dominion, the Vorn Collective, and others he'd only heard of in passing. These weren't friendly visitors. They were preparing for war. Maria gasped, stepping back. "They're coming here. Because of that stupid announcement." "It's not stupid," Jack muttered, his jaw tightening. "It's a setup. The Council didn't call us terrifying because they're scared of us. They're trying to provoke someone. Maybe they want these fleets to attack us so they don't have to deal with us themselves. But we can't fight all of them," Maria exclaimed, her voice rising. "Even if we're as tough as they say, there's no way we can win against that many enemies." Jack nodded slowly, his expression grim. "You're right. But maybe we won't have to fight them all at once. If we play this smart, we might be able to turn this situation around." As he spoke, another alert flashed on the screen. This time, it came from Earth itself. A mysterious object had been detected entering the atmosphere. An unidentified craft heading straight for the planet. Whatever it wasn't human-made. Jack sighed, rubbing his temples. Things were about to get much more complicated. In a quiet town nestled in the Rocky Mountains, Emily Carter sat at her desk, surrounded by piles of papers and half-empty coffee cups. She was a scientist who spent most of her days working on advanced artificial intelligence systems. Her work was important, but lately, it felt like just another routine. That changed when her computer screen flickered unexpectedly, and a strange message appeared. The message was short and confusing. Coordinates 40.123456 minus 105.654321. Time is critical. Emily frowned, leaning closer to the screen. The numbers looked like GPS coordinates, but there was no explanation of what they meant or who had sent them. Curious and slightly uneasy, she decided to investigate. She called Ryan Bennett, her childhood friend and a skilled mechanic. Ryan had always been the adventurous type, happy to drop everything for a mystery. When Emily explained the situation, he didn't hesitate. "Let's go check it out," he said with a grin. "What's the worst that could happen?" The two drove into the mountains, following the coordinates until they reached a dense forest. The air was cold, and the trees loomed tall around them. As they walked deeper into the woods, they noticed something unusual, a faint glow coming from a clearing ahead. When they arrived, they found the source of the light, a strange object, partially buried in the ground. It looked like nothing Emily or Ryan had ever seen before. The object was metallic, but not made of any material they recognized. Strange symbols covered its surface, glowing softly in shades of blue and green. It pulsed rhythmically, almost like it was alive. Emily knelt beside it, her scientific curiosity taking over. "What do you think it is?" Ryan asked, keeping his distance. He wasn't as comfortable with unknown technology as Emily was. "I don't know," Emily admitted, examining the object carefully. "But it's definitely not human-made." As she touched one of the glowing symbols, the object suddenly came to life. A beam of light shot upward, forming a holographic image in the air. The image showed fleets of alien ships moving through space, their weapons charging. It was a warning. Earth was about to be attacked. Ryan's eyes widened. "Okay, this is bad. Really bad." Emily stood up quickly, her heart racing. "We need to tell someone about this. If these aliens are coming here, we have to prepare." They took photos and videos of the object and the hologram before heading back to town. On the way, Emily contacted a colleague at a nearby research facility, explaining what they had found. Within hours, news of the discovery reached government officials, sparking an emergency meeting. Back in Colorado, Emily and Ryan were summoned to explain their findings. They stood in a large conference room filled with military officers, scientists, and politicians. General William Hayes, a stern man with sharp features, listened intently as Emily described the object and the holographic message. "This isn't just a random piece of alien tech," Emily said, pointing to the images she had captured. "It's a warning. Someone, or something, is trying to tell us that Earth is in danger." General Hayes nodded slowly. "If what you're saying is true, we don't have much time. We need to figure out who sent this and why. More importantly, we need to prepare for whatever comes next." As the meeting continued, Emily couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. The object had given them a glimpse of what was coming, but it also raised more questions. Who had sent it? Was it a friend or an enemy? And why had they chosen Earth as their target? Ryan leaned over and whispered, "You okay? You look like you've got a lot on your mind." Emily forced a small smile. "I'm fine. Just thinking about how crazy this all is. One day, I'm working on AI, and the next I'm dealing with alien invasions." Ryan chuckled nervously. "Well, at least it's not boring, right?" Despite the tension in the room, Emily appreciated Ryan's attempt to lighten the mood. But deep down, she knew they were facing something far bigger than either of them could imagine. Whatever was coming, Earth wasn't ready for it. Not yet. The news of the alien object and its warning spread quickly, reaching every corner of the globe. Governments scrambled to prepare for the unknown threat, while scientists worked around the clock to study the strange technology. Emily Carter and Ryan Bennett were now at the center of it all, their discovery making them key figures in humanity's defense. In New York City, life went on as usual, or at least it seemed that way. People walked the streets, cars honked, and skyscrapers towered above the busy crowds. But high above the city, something unusual was happening. A fleet of alien ships descended silently into Earth's atmosphere, their sleek designs glinting in the sunlight. They hovered over the skyline, broadcasting a single message: "Surrender your planet or face destruction." At first, no one responded. The United Nations held an emergency meeting, debating how to handle the situation. Some leaders argued for negotiation, while others believed the aliens were bluffing. General William Hayes, however, had no intention of waiting. He ordered Earth's automated defense systems to activate, just in case the aliens decided to attack. And they did. Without warning, the alien ships unleashed a barrage of energy blasts, targeting military bases and communication towers. The explosions lit up the sky, shaking the ground below. Panic erupted in the streets as people ran for cover. But Earth wasn't defenseless, not by a long shot. Hidden beneath the city were networks of drones, turrets, and automated weapons designed to respond to any threat. As the alien ships fired, the defenses sprang to life. Drones swarmed the invaders, dodging their attacks and striking back with precision. Turrets on rooftops and hidden underground launched missiles, tearing through the alien fleet. Within minutes, the tide of the battle began to turn. Meanwhile, ordinary citizens joined the fight. In a nearby neighborhood, a group of mechanics and engineers transformed old vehicles into makeshift weapons. One man used a modified truck to launch rockets at a damaged alien ship, causing it to crash into the Hudson River. Across the city, people banded together, using whatever tools they had to protect their homes. Back at the command center, General Hayes watched the chaos unfold on a large screen. His expression was calm but focused. "This is why they called us terrifying," he said to his officers. "We adapt, we fight, and we don't give up." Emily and Ryan were also watching the battle from a secure location. Emily clutched her laptop tightly, her eyes glued to the footage. "I can't believe this is happening," she muttered. "We're actually fighting aliens." Ryan smirked, though there was a hint of nervousness in his voice. "Well, I guess we're living in a sci-fi movie now." As the battle raged on, the aliens realized they had underestimated their opponents. Their advanced technology wasn't enough to overcome Earth's resourcefulness and sheer determination. One by one, their ships were destroyed or forced to retreat. By the time the dust settled, the skies were clear and the humans had won. General Hayes addressed the nation later that evening, standing before cameras with a look of quiet pride. "Today, we faced an enemy unlike any we've seen before," he said. "They thought we would surrender. They thought we were weak. But they were wrong. We may not seek war, but we will never back down." His words resonated with millions of people around the world. For the first time, humanity felt united, not just as nations, but as a species. The victory was celebrated, but Emily couldn't shake the feeling that it was only the beginning. The aliens had been defeated, but they weren't the real threat. Whoever had sent them was still out there, watching and waiting. Ryan noticed her worried expression and placed a hand on her shoulder. "Hey, we made it through this. Whatever comes next, we'll figure it out." Emily nodded, forcing a small smile. "Yeah, but I have a feeling things are about to get a lot more complicated." And she was right. In the days following the alien attack, Emily Carter and Ryan Bennett found themselves working harder than ever. The victory in New York had been a morale boost for humanity, but it also raised more questions. Why had the aliens targeted Earth? Who had sent them? And most importantly, what did they want? Emily spent hours studying the strange object they had found in the mountains. She hoped it held answers, but its symbols and mechanisms were unlike anything she had encountered before. One night, as she sat alone in her lab, she noticed something odd. The object's glow seemed to pulse faster whenever she entered certain commands into her computer. It was as if it was responding to her. Curious, she typed in a series of numbers matching the coordinates where they had found it. The object hummed louder, and a new holographic image appeared. This time, it showed not just alien ships, but entire civilizations. Some were thriving, others crumbling under conflict. At the center of the projection was a massive structure, a council chamber filled with alien leaders. Ryan walked in just as the image stabilized. "What's that?" he asked, pointing to the glowing figures. "I think it's the Intergalactic Council." Emily replied, her voice trembling with excitement. The same group that called Earth the galaxy's most terrifying planet. As they watched, the hologram shifted again, revealing documents written in alien script. Emily used a translation program to decipher them. What she discovered shocked her. The Council hadn't labeled Earth out of fear or admiration. It was a deliberate warning to other species. They wanted everyone to stay away from Earth because they believed humanity posed a threat to the galaxy. But there was more. Buried within the data were records of covert operations, missions funded by the Council to sabotage Earth's progress. Alien agents had infiltrated human governments, causing conflicts and slowing technological advancements. The Council wasn't just afraid of Earth, they were actively trying to control it. "This is insane," Ryan muttered, pacing back and forth. "They'd been messing with us this whole time." Emily nodded, her hands shaking as she copied the files onto a secure drive. "We need to show this to someone who can do something about it." The next day, Emily and Ryan traveled to the orbital space station, Solace *, where Jack Harper and Maria Lopes were stationed. Jack listened intently as Emily explained their findings, his expression growing darker with each word. "So the Council isn't just afraid of us. They're scared we'll become too powerful," Jack said, leaning back in his chair. "That's why they've been trying to hold us back." Maria crossed her arms, her eyes narrowing. "And now they've sent those aliens to test us, to see if we're as dangerous as they think." Jack stood up, determination in his eyes. "We can't let them get away with this. If we expose the truth, we might be able to turn the tables on them." With Maria's help, Jack smuggled the evidence back to Earth, delivering it to General Hayes and his team. The revelation sparked outrage among world leaders. For years, humanity had been played like puppets, manipulated by forces beyond their understanding. Now, they knew the truth, and they were ready to fight back. General Hayes called an emergency meeting with his top advisors. "The Council wants us weak and divided," he said, slamming his fist on the table. "But we're neither. It's time we showed them exactly why Earth deserves its reputation." Plans were made to strike at the Council's hidden bases scattered across the solar system. Using technology reverse-engineered from the alien object, Emily and Ryan helped develop new weapons capable of disabling enemy defenses. Drones, satellites, and even civilian engineers joined the effort, turning Earth into a fortress. As preparations continued, Jack couldn't shake the feeling that the Council wouldn't give up easily. Their actions so far had been calculated, almost like they were testing humanity's limits. Whatever came next, it would be bigger and deadlier. Emily approached him one evening, her face pale with worry. "Do you think we can win this?" she asked softly. Jack looked at her, his expression firm. "We have to. Humanity has always found a way to survive. This time won't be any different." But deep down, both of them knew the hardest battles were yet to come. The day humanity struck back began with a sense of quiet determination. Emily Carter and Ryan Bennett stood in a control room deep underground, surrounded by engineers and technicians. On the screens in front of them were live feeds of Earth's forces launching coordinated attacks on the Council's hidden bases scattered across the solar system. It was a risky plan, but it had to be done. Humanity wasn't just defending itself anymore. It was taking the fight to the enemy. General William Hayes led the operation from Earth, his voice calm but firm as he gave orders over the comms. "All units, confirm positions," he said, watching the monitors closely. Each screen showed different locations: moons of Jupiter, asteroids near Mars, and even distant outposts orbiting Saturn. Alien structures glowed faintly against the blackness of space, their defenses active and ready. Emily and Ryan's role was critical. They had developed new weapons based on the alien object they found in the mountains. These weapons used bursts of electromagnetic energy to disable enemy systems without causing massive destruction. The goal wasn't to wipe out the Council's forces entirely. It was to cripple their ability to interfere with Earth. As the first wave of drones approached an outpost near Europa, one of Jupiter's moons. Emily held her breath. The drones released pulses of energy, targeting the base's shields. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, the shields flickered and collapsed. Cheers erupted in the control room as Earth's forces moved in, disabling the outpost's power core. Ryan grinned, clapping Emily on the shoulder. "Looks like your tech works," he said with a laugh. But the victory was short-lived. The Council's response came swiftly. Reinforcements arrived at each location, their ships larger and more advanced than anything humanity had faced before. The battle intensified, with both sides suffering losses. Despite the odds, Earth's forces adapted quickly, using guerrilla tactics and exploiting weaknesses in the enemy's defenses. Back on Earth, Jack Harper watched the operation unfold from the orbital station *Solace*. He and Maria Lopes worked tirelessly to relay information between Earth and its forces in space. Every update brought new challenges, but also signs of progress. One by one, the Council's bases fell silent, their operations disrupted. Yet Jack couldn't shake the feeling that something was missing. The Council hadn't sent its full strength. Not yet. They were still holding back, testing humanity's resolve. He shared his concerns with Maria during a rare break. "They're waiting for something," Jack said, staring out the window at the curve of Earth below. "This isn't over." Maria nodded, her expression tense. "You think they're planning something bigger?" "I know they are," Jack replied. "And when it comes, we'll need to be ready." Meanwhile, General Hayes addressed the people of Earth, urging them to stay strong. "We've taken the fight to our enemies," he declared in a broadcast. "But this is only the beginning. Stay united, stay vigilant, and remember, we are Earth. We do not back down." As the battles raged on, Emily and Ryan worked non-stop to improve their technology. They knew the Council wouldn't stop until Earth was either destroyed or subdued. Their solution? A super weapon codenamed Project Phoenix. Designed to harness Earth's magnetic field, it would create a massive pulse capable of disabling entire fleets. But there was a catch. Activating it required someone to stay behind and manually trigger the sequence. It was a suicide mission. When the prototype was complete, Ryan stepped forward. "I'll do it," he said firmly, looking at Emily. "You're the brains behind this. You need to keep working." Emily shook her head, tears welling up in her eyes. "No, Ryan. There has to be another way." "There isn't," Ryan replied, his voice steady. "And you know it. Trust me. I've got this." Before she could argue further, alarms blared throughout the facility. The Council's armada had arrived. A colossal fleet unlike anything anyone had seen before. The final battle was about to begin. The Council's armada loomed in the sky like a storm of metal and fire. Ships stretched across the horizon, their massive forms blotting out the sun. It was clear this wasn't just another attack. It was an annihilation mission. The Council had come to destroy Earth once and for all. General William Hayes stood in the command center, his face grim but resolute. "Evacuate all major cities," he ordered. "Get as many people underground as possible. This is going to get ugly." Across the globe, sirens wailed as humanity prepared for the fight of its life. Civilians fled to shelters while soldiers manned defenses. Emily Carter and Ryan Bennett worked feverishly in the control room, finalizing Project Phoenix. The superweapon was ready, but activating it would mean sacrificing someone to stay behind. Ryan didn't hesitate. He strapped on a utility belt filled with tools and gave Emily a small, sad smile. "I'll see you on the other side," he said, trying to sound casual despite the weight of what he was about to do. Emily grabbed his arm, her voice breaking. "You don't have to do this, Ryan. There has to be another way." "There isn't," Ryan replied firmly. "And even if there was, I wouldn't risk losing you, or anyone else. Just promise me you'll finish what we started." Before she could say anything else, Ryan turned and ran toward the activation chamber. Emily watched him go, her heart heavy with guilt and grief. She wanted to follow him, to stop him. But deep down, she knew he was right. Someone had to make the sacrifice. On board the orbital station Solace Jack Harper and Maria Lopes monitored the situation with growing dread. The Council's fleet was overwhelming, far beyond anything humanity had faced before. But they weren't giving up. Not yet. Jack, look. Maria pointed at one of the screens. Ryan had reached the activation chamber and was preparing the sequence. The weapon hummed to life, drawing power from Earth's magnetic field. On the monitors, the Council's ships began moving into position, launching waves of missiles and energy blasts. "Hold on, Ryan," Jack whispered under his breath. "Just a little longer." Back on Earth, Ryan worked quickly, ignoring the tremors shaking the facility. Explosions echoed outside, and debris rained down as the Council's forces bombarded the planet. Sweat dripped down his face, but his hands remained steady. The countdown timer ticked closer to 0, 10, 9, 8. In the control room, Emily clenched her fists, tears streaming down her face. She couldn't bear to watch but couldn't look away either. "Come on, Ryan," she murmured. "You can do this." Finally, the timer hit 0. A blinding pulse of energy erupted from the weapon, spreading outward like a shockwave. Every ship in the Council's fleet shuddered, their systems failing simultaneously. Lights flickered and died, leaving the once mighty armada drifting helplessly in space. Ryan's last words came through the comms, shaky but full of pride. "For Earth," he whispered before the pulse engulfed the facility. Silence fell over the battlefield. The Council's fleet was neutralized, their threat extinguished, but the cost had been high. Emily sank to her knees, sobbing uncontrollably. Ryan was gone, but his sacrifice had saved billions. On the Solace Jack and Maria stared at the screens in stunned silence. Humanity had won, but the victory felt hollow. Jack placed a hand on Maria's shoulder. "He did it," he said softly. "He really did it." Maria nodded, wiping away a tear. "Let's make sure his sacrifice wasn't in vain." As the dust settled, Earth began to rebuild. The Council's forces retreated, leaving humanity alone. For now, General Hayes addressed the world, his voice filled with both sorrow and determination. "Today, we lost a hero, but because of him, we are still here. We will honor his memory by standing strong and protecting our home." Emily returned to her lab, driven by a new purpose. Ryan's bravery had given her the strength to keep going. She vowed to continue their work, ensuring that Earth would never again be threatened by those who feared it. Humanity had proven itself resilient, resourceful, and unyielding. To the galaxy, Earth was no longer just a planet. It was a symbol of survival against all odds. And no one would ever forget the price that had been paid to earn that reputation. Years passed since the Council's armada had been defeated, and Earth slowly healed from the scars of battle. The planet was quieter now, but the memory of Ryan Bennett's sacrifice lingered in the hearts of everyone who had lived through those dark days. Emily Carter often visited the memorial built in his honor, a simple stone plaque near the site where Project Phoenix had saved humanity. Each time she stood there, she felt a mixture of sadness and pride. Ryan had given everything to protect Earth, and his bravery had inspired millions. In space, the Intergalactic Council struggled to regain its footing. Their failure to conquer Earth had shaken their authority across the galaxy. Species that once feared them began to question their power. Rumors spread about the resilience of humanity, and soon, Earth became a legend, a cautionary tale whispered among alien civilizations. "Do not approach Earth unless you are prepared for annihilation," the Council warned in their broadcasts. It was both a threat and an admission of defeat. Jack Harper and Maria Lopes worked tirelessly to rebuild diplomatic relations between Earth and other worlds. They traveled to distant planets, meeting with leaders who were curious, and sometimes fearful of humanity. Jack explained Earth's story not as one of aggression, but of survival. "We don't seek war," he told them repeatedly, But we will defend ourselves at all costs. Maria added softly, and we're willing to share knowledge and resources if you respect our independence. Their efforts paid off. Slowly, Earth earned a fragile but respected place among the stars. Trade agreements were signed, and cultural exchanges began. Humanity's creativity and ingenuity fascinated many species, while its determination earned their cautious admiration. Back on Earth, Emily continued her research, driven by the lessons she had learned during the conflict. She focused on developing technologies that could benefit humanity without harming others. Her work became a symbol of hope, proving that Earth's reputation wasn't just about destruction, it was also about progress. One day, Emily received a message from Jack. He and Maria were returning to Earth after years of travel. When they arrived, the three met at a quiet cafe overlooking the ocean. Jack looked older, his hair streaked with gray, but his eyes still carried the same determination. Maria smiled warmly, her presence calming yet strong. "You've done amazing work here," Jack said, nodding toward the city skyline behind them. "Earth isn't just surviving, it's thriving." Emily shrugged modestly. "It's what Ryan would have wanted. All of this is for him." The conversation turned serious as Jack shared news from the council. "They haven't forgotten us," he admitted, "but they're keeping their distance. For now, we need to stay vigilant." Maria reached across the table, placing a hand over Emily's. "And we will, together." As the sun set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, Emily felt a sense of peace she hadn't known in years. Humanity had faced unimaginable challenges and emerged stronger because of it. Earth's terrifying reputation was no longer just a label, it was proof of what could be achieved when people united against a common threat. Later that evening, Emily returned to her lab. On the wall hung a photo of her and Ryan, taken years ago during happier times. She smiled faintly, tracing the edges of the frame. "Thank you," she whispered, "for everything." Outside, the stars twinkled brightly, watching over a planet that had defied the odds. Earth was no longer alone in the universe, but it had proven it didn't need anyone else to survive. Its people were resourceful, brave, and unbreakable. To the galaxy, Earth remained a mystery, a force to be respected and feared. But to its inhabitants, it was simply home. And that was enough.